Okay, good afternoon. The topic is living a platform world, and actually we have three, founders of regional e-platforms. So I think some of you may not know what they are doing. So I think when we open up, I want each of them to spend 1 minute to tell you where they are, in what kind of business, and what is their business model. Starting from, you.
Hi everyone. Thanks for hosting us, first of all. So Lamoda is a fashion company, the largest one in Russia and the surrounding countries. So we basically started 7 years ago with a retail model and basically added marketplace and also B2B solutions. Recently, we employ about 6,000 employees. And have still a very strong growth curve. And for us, obviously, a lot of UX, AI, etc. topics are as important as for you guys. So we're happy to discuss that topic with you today.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. So Compare Asia Group, we're Asia's leading personal finance management platform. We're live across 7 countries in Asia, and we're all about empowering consumers to build healthier financial lives by matching them to the best products for their needs and their risk profile. We're live across 7 markets. We helped 28 million people last year, partnered with over 100 banks and insurance companies across the region, and really just focused on helping people improve their lives.
Yeah, sure, Ray.
Hey guys, nice to be here. We're from Carousel. It's a mobile classifieds app that makes selling as easy as taking a photo and buying as simple as chatting. So if you've got something unused or underused at home, you should literally take it out, download the Carousel app and just snap a photo. We've got now more than 80 million listings on the platform. We're live across 7 different markets, and Hong Kong being one of our largest and most exciting markets. And very excited to be here to share our story. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Since there's a lot of talk about AI, big data, understanding the customer base, share with us what are the kind of latest AI or big data or analysis technology you are using in your platform to actually provide a better service and better matching. Maybe still Florent?
Sure. So we have about 70% of our logistics in-house, and hence that is a huge challenge for us. And big data obviously can help us a lot to optimize here. So there are a lot of routing algorithms which we can basically improve, increasing density, increasing hence the efficiency and the cost base for delivery. So this is one of the biggest areas of improvement, directly contributing to our bottom line, and at the same time also supporting the consumer with better and faster delivery. So for us, like same-day delivery with basically appointments, 15-minute appointments are kind of already a reality, and without strong technology and machine learning, we wouldn't be able to offer that.
Yeah, you mentioned at backstage about a peculiarity of your business model is that your customer typically would order maybe 10 dresses, and then the courier will send the 10 dress at the door, and the customer will try it. Exactly. Is there any way, maybe using VR and other technologies, to simplify that process, or having the customer virtually don the dress and choose it, and then maybe down the road, when you have more data, you will be able to suggest some better matches?
That's right. I mean, at the moment, the final choice happens at the door or in the office or wherever the customer orders the goods to. However, we of course try to make the choice, try to move as much as possible of that choice to the online experience. And here, online fitting tools, of course, are in testing. However, there are very mixed results so far, and we haven't been willing yet to really focus too much on it. There's in the end as much failure as success. So. In the end, we work still on our core technologies, and we hope for basically external service providers to build better technologies, and then we're more than happy to integrate that into our platforms.
That's interesting. Sam?
Yeah, so this is one of the most important areas for us and something that we're investing a lot into as a business. And for us, that's all about how do we make sure that for any individual who's on our platform, we're helping them find in a personalized way the best products for them. Because if I have a 50-year executive versus a 22-year-old in their first job, it's not useful to show everybody the same set of products, right? And so what we try and understand is as much as we can about our users, and that's both self-reported data as well as data from third parties that the consumers consent to, with the objective that we want to help people figure out what's the best product that's a banking product, an insurance product, a home service product that I'm actually going to be approved for, right? So that if I'm applying for a mortgage or a credit card or insurance policy, I know that I've got a 100% chance of approval. And so that's why we learn as much as we can and get those algorithms as smart as possible so that we can really help people figure out what is that product.
Yeah, but of course you are operating in very developed countries or cities like Hong Kong and Singapore, and you're also expanding in less developed or even targeting a group of people who are unbanked. So how do you provide service? What kind of data you can get to help understand those people who are unbanked, who doesn't have a banking history to start with?
Yeah, it's a great point. So our markets are very different, and so we tailor this approach in every market.
Yeah.
So in some markets, there are established credit bureaus. That's an important part of how the banks are doing their underwriting, and so then that's part of how we do our process as well. And then you're exactly right. In other markets, that's just not so prevalent, or there's individuals who don't have a credit history. And so what that means for us, on one hand, is that we just have to look at other factors, and then the other thing it means is that as we think about the products, that we make sure that we have a set of products that people who maybe don't have a banking history can actually apply for as well, which might not be a normal credit product, but it might be an entry step onto the ladder.
Okay, so what would be the typical entry step for a unbanked customer in Indonesia, for example?
Yeah, so a good example would be if you have somebody who needs a credit card, and you say, well, why do I need it? Do I need it for access to capital, or do I need it because I want to shop online and I need a plastic number? Right? And if it's somebody who does that, then we actually will work and come up with some proprietary products or prepaid products or other ways that somebody who needs it simply so that they can join the digital economy can actually get a piece of plastic and start to engage in that way.
Okay. Sure, Ray.
Yeah, I think AI for us is actually going to be fundamental and it's going to be shaping the future of Carousel. When we started 5 years ago, we were very much mobile first, right? So the idea here was take the whole desktop classifieds experience, bring it to mobile, make it snap, list, sell in 30 seconds, simple. But the future really is going to be AI first, right? The idea here is, can we now take that 30-second selling process and make it 3 seconds? And one of the biggest challenges about selling second-hand items is you have this item in front of you, but you have no idea how to price it. So our vision really is, if you can take a photo, put it up for sale in 3 seconds, your title is automatically populated, your category is automatically populated, and most importantly, your price is automatically populated.
Okay.
I think one of the most difficult things about selling a second item is how much should I price my item?
So AI would give you a suggested price.
Exactly. So this is only possible now because we've facilitated more than 30 million transactions on Carousel in the past 5 years. And the whole idea here is if you take a photo of an item that you want to sell, we're going to use computer vision, tag the item, match it up to the database of successfully transacted items before, and we actually know and can estimate what the clearing price of this item could be and suggest it. And that's going to be fundamentally important because two benefits here. The first benefit is, our mission really is to inspire people to be successful sellers, right? When you are successful, you become hooked and you end up going to your whole wardrobe and selling everything. Yeah. So if you can price your item accurately, you have a higher chance of selling the item. And secondly, it's good for the marketplace because you enter the marketplace, you not only have so many unique items listed on the platform, they're all fairly priced. Because if you have something grossly overpriced, that's going to be a bad experience. So that's what we're working towards too, and there are many more applications that we're going to be using this for. So we've got more than 80 million listings on the platform. How do we make that experience when you open Carousel a much more relevant and personalized one, right?
Yeah.
Given that the mobile real estate is so tiny.
Yeah, that's the other side. The flip side of that is you're providing quite a lot of services to the sellers, but also you want to provide the buyers a good experience.
Right.
To what extent? But from the backstage, I understand that of course it's a kind of hybrid model. You still would charge people to place their items prominently on the page, but at the same time you want to provide users a better experience to match their needs. How do you combine the two?
So I think it's one and the same. When you have optimize for a successful seller, you're actually also optimizing for a great buyer experience. So the balance is important. Our business model really is in helping our sellers sell quicker if they wanted to by paying us a fee. But we make sure that the content is well balanced. We have marketplace health measures that make sure that our new sellers and our individual sellers do not get priced out.
Yep.
And actually, in reality, a lot of our business and paying customers are in high value categories and verticals where it's predominantly merchants anyway. And in general classifieds categories, it's mostly individuals. Yeah.
So I'll start. A second one is understanding the consumers, because you said you start off with a platform that's only for youngsters, and now you have half of the Singapore's population signing up.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, tell us in the 5 years what kind of consumption patterns you kind of get to understand your consumers, and how do you get the older, the grown-ups to get addicted to your platform?
Yeah, so when Carousel first start in any market, we typically go and enter a market with an underserved community, and it's typically youth, 15 to 24 years old, actually predominantly female. 80% of our listings will be fashion and beauty, but eventually it gets cross-pollinated to all sorts of categories. Just like in Singapore, the evolution has now been more than 50% of our user base is more than 25 years old. We've got categories like luxury items, like furniture, and cars even come up. And how this has grown is it's pretty organic. One of the things that we do at Carousel is we monitor and we ask our community, like, where do you hear about Carousel? When the initial community starts to get successful, we start to hear more and more people sign up because my niece told me about it. My daughter, my son told me about it. And that's how it kind of cross-pollinates to an older audience. The word of mouth and the network effects get stronger. And that's how we see it playing out in our major markets like Malaysia, Hong Kong. It's natural evolution towards higher value categories. And here in Hong Kong, luxury has become a big category. We've got gadgets and games as massive categories as well.
But having a daughter or a niece tell you where to buy and sell something, that would be very awesome and awkward also at the same time. Tell us a bit more about how do you understand the consumers, and then in terms of what's the needs, because I think you also wanted to provide kind of banking services and financial services to everyone, right? Because there are quite a lot of population that's being unbanked. So, share with us your kind of understanding.
Yeah, certainly. So for us, our basic positioning with consumers, everything we do is free for consumers, and we're focused on being 100% impartial and objective and unbiased. We create a lot of content to educate our consumers, just to help people understand the world of personal finance, because these are hugely important topics, but they're also quite complicated. And so that's really the foundation for us, is just through all of our channels, how can we drive that education? Then, as you said, so it comes down to the personalization. And so part of this is in every market understanding, in Hong Kong with credit cards, we all like our credit cards here, right? Similar in Singapore. So you have this large portion of the population that has 5 or 6 credit cards and is always looking for the best benefit and looking for that extra little bit of cash back on my groceries on a Thursday, right? And people are turning over their cards all the time to find that. And so knowing that that's one consumer segment, and so how do we help that segment to find those best deals, to find that ever-changing incentives that are in place. And so the way we've gone after that is we actually go to our banking partners and we negotiate for exclusive products, so that if you come to our platform in Hong Kong, moneyhero.com.hk, you can get the absolute best products in the market. So you'll get a better deal on your credit card or your personal loan than if you go to the bank directly, right? And so that's how we've approached it in a mature market. And then if you go to some of the emerging markets that we're in, right there it is saying, well, we have a lot of people who are just saying, I need a credit product for the first time, and I don't need a credit card or a personal loan. I just know that I need access to capital, right? And so there, it's a very different kind of education. It's a very different way that we help people through our platform, so that we can help somebody think that through and figure out, okay, if I just need capital, what are my options? What's the fine print? How do I make sure that I'm making a good and healthy decision and not going down a path that's going to put me in a bad place? But through all of that, we just keep that focus on, if we act in the best interest of our consumers and if we really help empower them to make good decisions, then fundamentally that's going to keep them loyal to us and keep the business moving forward.
Understanding the needs of the customers, that's interesting. And Florian, Russia and Eastern Europe, former Soviet Union blocs, and very interesting market. Start off with women, but now more men are signing up for your services. Tell us the kind of transformation of your business, and how do you service different sectors of your customer base?
So I think the most important thing for fashion is that it's an emotional, basically, event. And I think the main transformation of our business has been basically from a transactional platform, let's say basically a more advanced catalog, towards really individualized, personalized shopping experience. And this is kind of, across the different customer groups. And because we're very much mass market, we're covering pretty much everyone. We, you can buy a shoe for $10, $15 or $1,000 on our platform. However, the customer who wants to buy a $1,000 shoe, it doesn't really, consider it amazing to see next to those type of shoes the $15. So for us, the personalization is incredibly important, and finding the right entry points for the consumers, for the different sets of consumers, is one of the, let's say, key elements of that, let's say, transformation. Because only if you do that, you can really create this emotional environment. As for men versus women, I think we traditionally have in Russia way more active group of female shoppers. Yeah. To some statistics, I think 70% of the whole retail is basically done by mothers. So it's most kind of dominant customer segment. We of course also cater to them more and more. However, what has become interesting trend is sports. I mean, sneakers in particular. I think you have that all over the world these days, and this has been a very, very successful category, which in particular addresses male shoppers. And I think here we kind of, in that sense, very opportunistic, depending on what the trends are going to be. We are jumping on the train. We are having a retail model which, in a very stable way offers, basically by far the best selection in the country, and so you can always find, all the basic stuff. And we added now marketplace to go also in more, let's say, exotic categories which we consider a bit risky. I don't know, let's say fashion watches, fashion jewelry, etc. So variety and choices in the end. The most important factor for your conversion and for your success of the platform. So I think that's ultimately what we're doing. So becoming more emotional and offering more variety.
Yep. Since we are talking about platforms, the last question is really about bigger platforms. Are you concerned about bigger platforms? To you, you mentioned about Alibaba has made a big push into Russia. Is it a concern that they will move upstream and eat your lunch?
So I would be very much concerned if I would not have a very sharp positioning as a fashion authority in the country. I think then I could be wiped kind of out. However, the customer, as I said, in shopping in particular, is a bit of a different thing. It's not a commodity in a sense. So it's not as in electronics where price only matters and a little bit of service. In fashion, the way you present it, the selection you have, and also the service around matters a lot. And here, AliExpress, basically the face of Alibaba in Russia, cannot really and will in the next couple of years not really compete on selection. They will not be able to attract the brands like Hugo Boss, etc. doesn't want to be on that platform, and they will not be able to replicate in the next 2-3 years at least the logistics platform that we've built up and customized to that very complicated consumer, let's say, demands.
Yep. Any concerns of a big platform that would enter into financial matching and providing tailor-made financial services?
Yeah, so it's an interesting spot for us. So we just announced that we closed our Series B, and Alibaba actually took part in that round, investing in us. And if I look at that, I think there's a couple of reasons for it, right? One is just that absolute focus on building consumer trust, right? And the fact that as you build that, and as consumers know that we have their best interest in heart, then that's just a solid positioning. And I think the other end of it is if you look at what we're doing with the banks, right? We and our insurance companies, I mean, we've invested a lot into doing very deep technical integrations with them and really becoming a very kind of very driven thought partner for them in terms of these exclusive products. And so with that, it positions us really strongly with consumers and with the banking and insurance companies.
And of course, e-market space, that's an old business. How would you stand out among the other platforms?
I think that the thing for us to stand out, really, it's the mission, right? Our focus really is on the individual and about all this stuff that's unused and underused in your home. Okay. And I think that's for us our focus, right? If you look at all these other marketplaces, like you mentioned Alibaba, Lazada, and so on, 99% of their seller base are merchants, right? Maybe 100%. But for Carousel, 99% of our seller base are actually individuals, like everyday persons like you and I. And that's really our focus.
Okay. Really kind of riding on the sharing economy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we are running out of time, but thank you all for sharing your story and wish you all luck in the future.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.